Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing great, despite what's going on in the world. I know that my co-host here is sitting here with a heavy heart. He does actually have his father's in Ukraine. Ira, welcome to the show. I know we're both going to try to be professional and as upbeat as possible. I know that's an impossible situation for you right now. I'm going to just see how's it going, buddy.
Well, it is what it is, man. Just hoping my dad makes it through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm right there with you, man. I'm praying for your dad, and praying for all the people of Ukraine and all the people around the world. There's really no avoiding the issue today and avoiding what's going on in the world. Nor would I want to, even if your parents weren't in Ukraine. I mean, it's something that this is a global event that's going to impact the history of the world, and
Yeah.
it's kind of surprising. And you were saying this a little bit offline. How nonchalant so many people are about this. And a lot of people have asked me where I've been the last couple days, and it's like when things like this start to happen, you start to put things into perspective, and it's kind of a wake up call for me at least, and it should be for everybody that hey, there's more important things going on than SBN or Bone
Yeah.
Digital Media or what's going on with our own personal little businesses. You know what I mean? Like right now, people are getting bombed.
You should see some of the messages in my inbox, man.
I
Like
don't. I don't even
people are
want to.
getting upset that they introduced me to somebody to put me on a podcast. Like I give a shit about a podcast right now. I mean, honestly, like if you don't know that my dad lives in the Ukraine, I don't know. You don't know me, right? I mean, I've never made that a secret. He's lived over there for a long time. But
Well,
like, what is more important right now? Your dad's living or me being on some stupid show? I don't mean to be disrespectful to people's shows, but like there's things happening right now that I'm surprised. Look, I posted about this 2 days ago. I said what happened when Putin went on TV and said, I've got approval to attack outside of Russia's borders after he had massed nearly 200,000 troops all around Ukraine. What do you think he was going to do with them? I mean, I don't understand what people are watching. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is. Everybody wants to talk about Trump being crazy. Putin's just as crazy as Trump. Whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, I really don't
well,
care. We're not
Trump
going to.
never invaded anybody.
Yeah, we're not going to get into politics today too much because I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to.
Well, yeah, I don't want to talk about left, right,
I don't
who's
want to. I don't want to break the rules, and I don't want to irritate people and make people defend defenseless positions. But the fact is, if you're paying attention to who Putin is, and I tell you, there's a lot more. This could just be, like I said, it's called the tip of the spear, and I said that in my post a couple days ago. Like this could be the beginning of World War III. And people, I think a lot of people think that's sensationalist or clickbait type stuff, and I'm like, you and I talked about this yesterday. It takes one crazy person to flip the board. But what you have here, really, if you've been paying attention to what's going on in the world, is you have the reason this attack happened is because the Ukraine is pro-U.S. They're a democracy. Their system of government is democracy. They have a democratically elected government, and they're trying to join NATO, which the United States is part of the NATO pact. So if this had happened when the Ukraine had been accepted as part of NATO, if they were to be accepted as part of NATO, then attacking the Ukraine would have been the same as attacking the United States. One of the reasons why this happened now, in case you guys don't understand why it's happening right now, is because they're not a part of NATO yet. So it's not the same as attacking the United States. And he can do this stuff without having to go to nuclear war, which he will, if you listen to what he's saying, do. That's the consequences that nobody's ever faced, which is actually not true because Japan has faced those before. So, anyways, but what else could happen? And this is what makes all the timing so interesting. Forget about, things don't happen in a vacuum. That's Ukraine and NATO and the timing. And that's why all this is
a lot
happening.
of people wonder. A lot of people think that like it's in Ukraine. What does this mean to us? They
Right.
don't sit there and they think, well, Ukraine provides what 10 to 20% of Europe's food. They don't think about how much
40,
Russia.
it's 40 million. It's 40 million people. So for those of you who don't know where the Ukraine is, it's not like, it's the size of California. It's not a small place. It's not inconsequential. But also, and we could come back to the Ukraine, but I want to talk about this because let's set the stage for what could happen. If you've been paying attention the last couple of years, what has been going on over in China and Taiwan, right? Taiwan is basically being treated the same way Ukraine has been being treated by Russia, by China. Well, now you've got the world
Well,
distracted.
China's watching to see what
Of course
happens.
they are. And what are we
They're-
doing? We're slapping wrists. Look, I hate to say it because it's going to irritate some people, and I don't frankly care. Here's the deal: sanctions to a country the size of Russia are basically irrelevant because they can be self-sufficient. And I don't think people have given enough credence to, these financial sanctions. They're old world sanctions in a new world where you have a
You can
most
just
of
do
them
everything obsolete, like
most of the computer hijackers, the good ones, I hate to say it, they're Russian. Okay, they can just come take over your your currency with
yeah.
their hackers, and they're working on that right now. And nobody's talking about that. There's actually a news story I was looking at the news headlines. There's a news story right now about that. The battle that's going to be fought in the United States with Russia is going to be a cyber attack, not a traditional
It's
attack.
going to be economic. Same thing with China.
But
Everything
but
else.
also about crypto. No, it's like people have just forgotten this rise of crypto and its borderless currency, and you've got cyber experts who know how to access this stuff. They're not as desperate or destitute when you turn off the Swift as you think they will be. And for those of you who don't know what Swift is, I can't really educate you on everything today, but look into Swift. It's how money is controlled globally. That's basically what you need to know about Swift. That is, it all funnels through the United States, but the big sanctions that they've been holding back are basically access to Swift. So again, you have to educate yourself. I can't educate you on everything today, but that's what they're talking about. You take Swift away, you still have crypto, you still have cyber attacks, and then you have the China Taiwan situation, which the only people that sanctions will hurt less than Russia is China. Okay,
Well,
so
and
now
they're
you've got two. You
off
can
each
have
other.
two major things going on. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, hey, should we bring up Tavita? I haven't had an opportunity to chat with her
Never
recently.
met her before, but yeah, you can bring her up, sure.
I've never met her before. I give her a lot of credit for her jumping in the fire today. You got your face on, and
I'm just gonna let everybody know today. You probably want to leave your silly crap at home. Like if you want to talk about the weather or just tread lightly today, guys, because I'm not in the mood.
yeah, people don't realize we do these shows to help everybody. Ira and I can, no offense to anybody, we can sit here and have a conversation and still get watched. We can still distribute our content. We can still give
Actually,
out.
we will get watched more without all the stupid crap.
Yeah, I mean, it does actually kind of hurt us to have some of these people up, but we do it because we want to help people. And the only thing that we ask is that when you come up here, you're a good house guest, or you treat us like you would your friend at a party. It's not like let's take over speed networking with Mike and Ira. It's like, hey, let's be a part of this. You know what I mean? So it's a different mentality, and it's kind of sad that we got to bring that up. Anyway, let's bring up Tavita. She's been very patient. I'm really excited to meet her. So.
I do like what Ryan Jackson said in the note in the comments too. It's like he's on YouTube.
He's on YouTube.
Sanctions can work, but for the people like North Korea, I mean, you can, and Cuba. Let's not forget Cuba. You can overcome with a dictatorship style government, which is what Russia really has. Frankly, I know they don't pretend like that's what they have, but that is what they have. Challenge Putin and see what happens.
Well, I mean, you can see it in
There
their
is no
faces when
party
they're.
opposition to Putin because they'll kill you. That's how it works.
People wonder how Hitler got in power and everything. It's because, well, if you disagree with them, they're just going to shoot you and they'll put somebody else in charge. You know what I mean? That's why when you see them chatting and everyone in the background's like this,
Yeah,
terrified. I mean,
puppet governments. But anyways, yeah, sanctions can Sanctions can work, but
not against a country the size.
but
They have
when
hundreds
you're
of billions of dollars, I think.
when you're talking about somebody who controls 40% of the global energy of the, you know what I mean? That's not somebody that sanctions are going to work against. They can.
Well, you're not going to starve them. You're not going to.
Yeah, they
You're
can
not going
produce
to make it cold in
their
the
own.
winter.
Yeah, and frankly, he doesn't care if his people
You
starve.
know, I mean, people don't realize like he did this during the cold months on purpose because he provides oil and gas to every. You know, he's not doing this in August for a reason. Hi,
Yeah.
Tavita. Thanks for joining us. I give you a
Hey
lot of credit
guys.
for joining us today.
I do want to say this, Tavita, right off the bat. I like your energy on LinkedIn. I like the way that you show up in posts. I like your posts. I think you're doing a lot of smart things on LinkedIn, and you caught my attention. So, anyways, good. It's nice to meet you finally, but I feel like I kind of know you a little bit from your posts and your comments. So, good job.
I
And if
kind
you
of
guys
feel
are watching this and you haven't followed Tavita yet, send her a connection
I
request.
kind of feel the same way. You know, like here's the thing, right? And I don't like to talk about my following and how many people I have following me on different, or the fact I get 8,000 notifications an hour and I can't ever keep up. And sometimes I just need to unplug for 3 days, right? I mean, like
brother.
most of the stuff that I receive, right, is complaints. I mean, I was telling Tavita, I apologize. We're kind of sidetracking. I swear, we're gonna give you your introduction here in a second. A lot of people are like, "Hey, Mike, your website's not working." You know, I'm like, "Okay, well, send me a screenshot of what the error is, and I'll take a look at it and try to help you out." Right. So then they just send me a screenshot of my homepage, right? And that happens like 300 times a day. After a while, I'm like, I just need to unplug for a while. So, like, you know, I went from being like, you know, Facebook and Twitter should have better customer service to I totally understand why they don't have a phone number on their website. You know what I mean? Because like 99% of everything that happens on the internet is pilot error. And, you know, I was about ready to strangle poor Jacob. And I realized like it's not his fault. Like most of the website's actually working pretty well now. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate
I'm on the website. I'm on the SPN every day, dude. I don't understand. But the only thing I want Jacob to do is I want Jacob to give me like special. I want all the limits removed, like so I can load my videos natively because I make videos on
marketers ruin everything. Guys like you are the reason why we have limits.
I make videos on how to use Service Professionals Network.
I know it's a catch-22,
man. I can't load it, so I gotta put it.
I'm screwed either way. See, Tavita, first lesson in business from Mike's School of Technology 101, right? Hire Jacob, get him in the way, and then let Ira go after Jacob because I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with this anymore, right? And nothing. So, Tavita, I wanted to give you the same credit that Ira did because, like, we get so many messages that are take. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? You know, rude, right? So when you see somebody that comes at you with engaging content and comments and like, hey, this person actually read my post and digested it and then thought about what I was trying to actually say and then gave me some value back. Like you're going about things the way I kind of went about things when I first got going on LinkedIn networking. And people don't realize how much that stands out. Like you're walking in, it's like walking into like a job search or like a job opportunity and the people that are hiring you already like you before you got there. You know what I mean? It's smart.
Well, thank you. I totally appreciate it. You guys have been an absolute wealth of knowledge, and I'm super humbled just to like hang out in your group and be able to get some feedback. So it means a lot. I feel like I am the least equipped of the whole group, but that doesn't mean that I'm not loving the learning experience.
Yeah, you got to knock that off. You're just as capable as everybody else.
I still do that too, Ira. Like, and Sia and a few other people are giving me crap for saying that in my last post. So I understand that, Tavita. And tell me about the Six Sigma thing that I see in your headline. What's all that about?
Yeah, so you're in the group too, though, right? Like you know about Lean Six Sigma. It's basically just efficiency and effectiveness and process. It's leaning down, cutting out all the extras, and yeah.
Well,
no martial arts though.
My question should have been
no. You're an admin. You're an admin ninja. That's basically what I look at. Lean Sigma 6 means that you're no nonsense.
Like what I should have asked is how long have you been doing that?
they get rid of the waste in business.
Essentially, yeah. It's making sure that you're running at peak performance. And
Brought up Chuck Norris. I'm just saying.
What I should have asked was, tell us a little bit about your history with that and like what got you involved and like, what is it you're trying to do?
So what am I trying to do? I am just trying to be me and hopefully in some way, shape, or form improve the world around me, regardless of where that reaches. But thanks to LinkedIn, it's a little bit bigger. As far as lean goes, I really kind of fell into it. I was working in healthcare and there was kind of a downturn in the economy and I needed to market myself. I was given an opportunity to take the lean training and just was super passionate about it. Fell in love with process improvements and it's been a good thing overall. I've definitely been able to put it into practice in different aspects of roles that I've had since then. So it's been a few years now.
Well, excellent. So let me ask, are you currently looking for a new role or are you just building your personal brand to potentially rely on that in the future? Do you have a business going? What exactly are you trying to establish?
Yeah, so essentially, I was on LinkedIn for the purposes of networking, just getting to know people, staying connected with people that I had worked with historically. Currently, I am actively looking for a new opportunity. COVID has not been super amazing for a lot of people, and it's impacted my role. And I'm seeing what else is going on out there. I'm sorry.
What are you looking for? You don't know me yet, but you're gonna love me in a minute.
Yeah, there's a reason why
I've been loving everything that you're throwing down in our group. So
I don't participate much in that group, just so you know. There's a lot
not to shake our own, or toot our own horns too much or come off more pretentious than we actually are, which is pretty bad. But Ira and I are like high achievers because we don't spend a lot of time dwelling in the muck doing nonsense. When we get dirty, we're doing work. We're digging the trenches. We're making stuff happen out here in the front lines, right?
Right, and that's what I love. Because
I need to know what kind of role you're looking for and what kind of experience you have. I run Project Help You Grow, which you probably don't know what that is. A lot of people don't, but Project Help You Grow is a free resource. Okay, it's a website that I launched back in 2018, and I connect job seekers to employers and recruiters around the world. So since I already like you, I've decided I like you already, but I don't know a lot about you. I need you to fill me in a little bit. So what I would suggest you do, and I'll send you the link, create a Project Help You Grow profile, and then I'm going to distribute it to some of my recruiter friends and see if we can't find a job faster. Okay.
Deal. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Supply chain.
Where are you located?
Right now I'm in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State.
Well, we know a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason why we do these shows, right, is to not only get people on there and introduce themselves and talk about their business, right, but we also want to help job seekers. We also want to help people that may not need a role right now. They may just want to build their personal brand. When I first got onto LinkedIn, and a lot of people may not realize this, when I first got on LinkedIn, I was working for my brother's water restoration company, and I had my own SEO side stuff going. I had a couple clients going for that, right? When I got onto LinkedIn, I just wanted to do search engine optimization for my water restoration.
You know SEO?
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
So it just a little tiny bit. So I started doing that. But when I got onto LinkedIn for the SEO purposes, I started looking around and I saw Lion and O&A and open networking, right? And I started really thinking about the power of personal branding. So this show, we either want to help people get jobs, we want to connect businesses with more people and consumers, right? Yeah. Or we want to educate people on how and why they should build their personal network, right? Because what people don't realize is that everyone loses jobs. You have fight with your family, even if you have the most secure job in the world because you're working for your mom, dad, brother, or whatever. You know what I mean? Your in-law can mess that up real quick, or anything can happen, right?
I took my last job with the intention on both sides that I would work there for 20 years and retire at that job. And then 5 months later, I was laid off. I mean, I was as secure. I had worked for the company before. It was my second go around with them. I thought for sure this is the last move. This is going to be amazing. And 5 months later, I was out on my ear going, what am I going to do now? So Mike says it all the time this way, and I love it. You don't wait to meet the plumber until you need the plumber, because now you're paying emergency plumber prices. What
Yeah.
you should be doing on LinkedIn is building your network so that when you need it, now you have access to it. And that's exactly what happened for me. So May of 2020, I got laid off. In June of 2020, I started my own business. And because I had 150,000 people in my network, I never had to spend a single penny in advertising. I made enough money to pay all my bills the very first month. I didn't have to borrow any money because I had enough income coming in. I mean, it is incredible what a network can do for you if you take the time to build a network so that when you need some help, you have access to it. Because that's really what it is. It's like building a giant savings account. So
It is. It's a social savings.
Yeah, what Mike is saying here is simple, guys. You don't wait until you're out of a job or until you're done with whatever desperate situation you're in to do this. You build it now. Get started when you're in a good spot if you can. And that's why we host the show. So we can let people like Mike Ashrenberger. I messed that up. Sorry, buddy. Anyways.
I'm not even going to do last names.
Mike,
anymore. I don't care.
Mike, you know, he can increase the
I think you cut out on us, dude.
Me?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Your mic's not working. So what I was going back to the networking and the personal branding thing while he's having mic issues, because I like to keep things going, right? Is that when I'm going to talk a little bit about how Ira and I met again. People have heard this story over and over again, but maybe you haven't. So I'm gonna touch base on it quickly. But before I met Ira, I was offered a job for $250,000 a year for a major corporation that does service work throughout the country, right? 250 grand a year base salary plus incentives to become their chief marketing officer. These people literally knew nothing about me except for that my brother's company's website was doing better than theirs in our area, right? And that I had a big network on LinkedIn. Okay. 250 grand a year, no college degree, no past work experience outside my own stuff, right? No references really outside my brother, right? At the time. And so at the time I was doing hashtag call me on a lot of posts, networking posts, because I was being obnoxious about something else I won't dive into, right? But Ira was one of the few people I did like a video about. If you're smart, you'll call me. A lot of smart people already called me. So hashtag call me, right? Well, Ira called me and said, "Hey, listen here, smart guy. I'm a sales guy. I work for this company. I want to know, about LinkedIn. I see a lot of people develop, putting a lot of time into it, but I'm not quite getting it." A year and a half later, the guy passes me up like I'm standing still with his following, and he's got this business going, and he makes a successful living out of it just because I opened his eyes. Now he comes back, he does marketing videos for me, he does images, he helps, people join the site on a daily basis, right? So when I see a person like Tavita come on here and she's not all like, give me, I want to learn, I'm trying to be humble about this, right? It really makes us both want to help you. And hi, Mike.
He's the one that dug me out of the trenches. I don't even know where he found me.
I'm glad. Good trenches, right?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little silent, a little low.
It's low.
I don't know what the heck's going on. It's fine. It matches my mood.
Dark and gravelly, yeah.
Didn't pay electric bill. That mic needs electricity. It's what it is.
Well, he needs more website customers, I guess, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I need to get the-
Help Ira pay the electric bill.
Needs to take more photos.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to help you, Tavita. I want to definitely do some more private chats when you're not so on the spot and feeling like overwhelmed with all these people kind of like poking at it. But I want to have a chat with you soon to kind of learn a little bit about what you're trying to do, what roles you're looking for, right? And the whole name of the game here is just introduce yourself and feel comfortable. Michael, what brings you out of the woods today?
Actually,
Oh, yeah. Hang on.
1 second. Tavita, I'm gonna spotlight you on my post. So I need to get that information today. Your
Okay.
your LinkedIn fortune's about to change in a little.
Yeah, I've been meaning to spotlight her, but the reason why I haven't, and I'm going to tell this to everybody, right, is that Ira and I both like to spotlight people on our LinkedIn profiles because it helps them grow. We're going to make posts anyway, so we like to help people rise because we all rise together. It's kind of like our whole thing project to help you grow. Like it's not just a schlick; it works, right? And I was going to highlight you because you joined my website, but lately I've been having people join my website and then they're kind of a little bit weird, right? So I prefer to have these chats with people
First.
before I highlight them, right? So I'm going to vet them. And I made a big deal about, hey, if you join my website before February 1st, you're a featured member, and that's closed, and it is, right? But I'm also human and I want people to grow, right? And I don't want to make it all about profit, and like pay me, pay me, pay me. So I meet people like Tavita that may not have that big personal brand, but you're bringing something to the table, and I can see the integrity and everything in you. I might bend the rules and help you get going because that's what we're trying to do. So Michael, the Redneck Money Coach, how you doing, sir?
I'm great, buddy. How are you? You've been chewing on coca leaves and you're ready today, man. I love it.
Something about people doing some of the crap that's going on in the world gets me fired up, and I'm just trying to channel that passion rather than to being angry on my soapbox and saying what the hell's wrong with everybody and why aren't we doing this or why aren't we doing that and pontificating and proving everybody what a egomaniac I am. I feel like I would just try to channel that into positive networking. So thanks for bringing that up, Mike.
No, good, because you can't do anything about it. It's not that I don't care about the world's problems, but what the hell am I going to do about it? Right?
You'd be surprised what I could do. I mean, I'm not trying to be totally.
I'm not going to stop the war.
I will tell you. So, okay, I'm going to sound pretentious here. I don't care because it just is what it is. A couple of years ago, my friend didn't know what an @ was. Literally, he never sent email, never had to. He's a construction type guy, right? Not to throw him under the bus, but in 2016, he sent me 2 text messages, and he called me before I could read the text messages. And he said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I said, "Hey, dude, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey, I want to let you know my cousin sent me a couple messages. I sent it to you." He's like, "I never understood it, but now I get it. One man, can do a lot more than you say. You're an internet celebrity, dude. You have influence." I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Look at the images, bro. How'd that happen?" And what it was an image of a person running, not the person running for president, but person in their family. And then it's like Hillary Clinton, Michael Connor, famous Democrat, famous Democrat, famous Democrat. And the other one's Donald Trump Jr. made a post, and it was like Donald Trump, Michael Connor, famous Republican, famous Republican, famous Republican. My buddy said, "Hey, how come you're on these posts? How come you're smashed between these guys?" And what people don't realize is that when you're networking and you have an audience and you have something to say, that everybody listens more than you realize, right? And if people aren't engaging in your content, or if people aren't paying attention to you or respecting what you have to say, it's not really the algorithms. It's really what you're saying and how you present it. Because if you have something valid to say in today's age, everybody sees it. And if it's likable, people are going to share it. People are going to comment it, right? Now, if the algorithm is playing against you because you don't have a large network, or you're not putting stuff in an SEO friendly format, right? Or you're just not writing content that engages that way, even if your video is really good, right? Then you have to do something different, like share it on Twitter, share it on SPN, share it on Reddit, share it in other places. And that's what Ira and I like to do.
That's awesome. I think I heard Ira ask me.
Part of the reason why I'm here today, honestly. Otherwise, I'd say, forget it, dude. I'm going to watch the news and see if my dad's okay. You guys probably don't know this, but they're not allowed to post starting today. So they're under martial law in Ukraine, and they're not allowed to post on a computer at all starting right now. If they
Because
do,
they're not supposed to show people where they're at.
So why is an interesting question. But what if they post on a computer starting today, they're going to be recorded. Everything they're going to do is being recorded, and they're subject to penalty, whether that be by the Ukrainian or Russian, whoever ends up taking control. Because I know Putin says that this is not an occupying force. Their objective is not to occupy the Ukraine, but they're basically there to get rid of the government. They're going to try and install their.
I don't see how the government's going to make it through no matter what. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I will tell you this, that unless the United States puts troops on the ground and defends it, Ukraine has no chance. And I know a lot of these people are out there saying, well, let's just give them guns and let's give them the weapons. And you know what happens? We've seen this over and over again.
They get murdered.
Afghanistan's the latest example. What happens? You fill them with the weapons, and then they lose, and the enemy gets all the weapons. So do we really want to give Russia our artillery? That makes no sense to me. The only way that we're going to stop Russia from taking over Ukraine, however Russia decides to do that, is to get our asses in there. And I know that's asking a lot. That's asking a hell of a lot.
Well, but are we asking that, or are you and I, or the people of the United States asking that, or did Putin ask that by his action?
I think this is the bottom line. I think if you took a survey of 100 people, I might be the only person in that 100 to say let's send in the United States troops. But I'm saying it this way.
Not if I was in it.
Let me be very, very clear to everybody who's watching. There is no way on God's green earth that Ukraine can stand up to Russia. They don't have the firepower in any capacity. They don't have enough men or military, let's say it that way, because now there's women part of the military too. Okay. They don't have enough guns. They don't have enough soldiers. They don't have enough of the heavy artillery, smart missiles, jets, helicopters, and certainly they don't have nuclear capabilities. If Russia wants to crush the Ukraine, they will crush the Ukraine. They don't have.
Well, hold on. They will crush Ukraine if we allow it.
It's not even really a fight. I mean, it is a fight because Ukraine's not going to just roll over. But at the end of the day, if I go over to the elementary school that's right across the street and pick on any one of those kids,
it's the snake eating the rat. The rat.
Yeah, nobody intervenes. There's no chance. The kid can fight all he wants. I'm going to kill him, right? You know what I mean? Like that's what we got going on here. So it isn't about giving the kids some protein shakes or a shot of adrenaline,
words of encouragement.
Right. We're gonna give them, a helmet. I mean, what's gonna happen? He's still gonna
see. I brought this up earlier, right? The history of this is very scary. It's so similar to history's invasion of Poland. Like people don't realize how big of a history nerd Ira and I actually are. And Jason Ricks, I'm actually liking this guy.
First of all, most of you don't understand that my family is from this whole area. Like my history is from there. And it was Russia sometimes, and it was Ukraine sometimes, and it was other countries sometimes because the borders changed there so much. But my family left. We were rich, and we left and were poor because of Hitler the first time. Okay? So, yeah, I know a little bit about this history. I've lived it. My life has been altered forever by it. That's where my family's from. So, I don't know what else to tell people, but yeah, we see it clearly.
So I made a post earlier about World War One, World War II, right? Like after Hitler and the Germans lost World War One, Hitler rose to power because we allowed that to happen. We didn't just say, "Hey, we're taking over Germany now." I mean, we pretty much left Germany and were like, "Hey, we're gonna watch you." But the reality is, like, they had a whole country where they could hide tanks and planes and everything they weren't supposed to.
It was just 16 years.
And we allowed them to stockpile these things. And then when they start taking over other countries, the whole world watched. We didn't do anything as Americans until the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. But for 3 years, they were having the same debate we're having now, which is should we or shouldn't we? Well, let me tell you something. Whether we should or we shouldn't, that is not something that's going to be up for debate in a while. Because if we don't stop it now,
it's like that, right? So you want to talk about the distance between World War I and World War II and what happened with Hitler in Germany, that whole Nazi party getting voted in and being allowed to flourish. That was a 16-year gap. Well, you had in 2014 the resolution with Crimea, which was a joke. But anyways, Crimea was allowed to be usurped by Russia. And so now you've had 8 years. This didn't just happen overnight. This has been happening for those of you who have been paying attention, which I think of most of us have ignored it. But my dad's lived there the whole time, so I've paid attention, right? It is what it is. But this didn't just They didn't just decide on a Monday night, hey, we're going to invade them on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
No, I mean, think about this. Like, they had
wrong.
their ducks in a row. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's risking nuclear war. He's risking, like, and here's the thing, right? Not only is he passionate about leaving a legacy of power behind himself, he don't make no mistake about it. Like, Stalin and everybody to him, like, is a hero. You know, over here we look at Stalin like a bad guy. Over there, like, to him, Stalin's like, I want to be the next Stalin. This guy's 70 years old. He's fit, like Ed Carmody. You know what I mean? Like, he really works out. This guy wants to leave a legacy.
He's
right?
a disciplined intellectual.
And
he's dangerous because he believes his own.
Well, he's also, let's keep it real, right? When you're 70 years old, you can be intelligent, right? But you're in your final days. The clock is ticking down and you know it, right? I'm 42, going to be 43 March 17th. And you're absolutely insane if you don't think that I think about it on a daily basis. And you're even more insane if you don't think that Putin's thinking about it on a daily basis. But here's the thing. When you've been in power for decades and you're like, nobody's told this guy no in forever on anything, right? And
when
you get older, and I don't care who you are, right? Like Betty White, as great as she was at 100 years old, and we all loved her, she wasn't the same Betty White she was when she was 65. You know what I mean? Wasn't the same Betty White than she was. As we get older, we don't do things the same way. We have a different view of the world. You know, every 7 years, we're a totally different person than we were before. And let me tell you, a 70-year-old Putin makes me a lot more nervous than a 50-year-old Putin.
There's no doubt. I actually was thinking about this last night, and it's probably the first time I've actually thought about it for any length of time. But the fact that he is 70, right? I mean, at 70, if you die, you're not a young man anymore. Like
you lived a life.
You've lived a life, right? So this may be, in America, we call this death by cop, right? You go and you take hostages and they shoot you and they call it suicide or death by cop.
It's a final stand of glory. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like this guy.
You might have just hit it on the head there with the Stalin and some of the other folks that he looks up to and idolizes potentially. I don't know that he does or he doesn't. I don't know him personally, but I think it's a safe.
Well, he's made reference. Like, people don't realize. Like, I pay a lot of attention to what the world leaders say and do over the years, right? And this guy's made a lot of comments about. He wants to restore the USSR to power, and he wants
100%. He's made no bones about that.
He wants people to know that he did this, right? It's not about the people of Russia. It's not about the motherland.
It's about his legacy.
It's about Putin.
Yeah, and he wants to stack up and be remembered.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. There's millions of Russians right now. They're like, "What are you doing?" But what can we do about it? You know what I mean?
It's funny. I know that's a narrative that people want to say. And I will tell you this, in case you don't know Russia well. Inside Russia, Moscow is kind of like New York City, right? Very liberal. They're more like America than Americans probably understand. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the country is more like Iowa. You know what I mean when I say that?
That's why this propaganda works with him.
His propaganda works so well there. Like they're showing Moscow's got some anti-war protests.
Well,
I guarantee you that's
the Ukrainians, right, are being Nazified, right? They're acting like Nazis and they're killing Russians in the Ukraine. A lot of the Russian soldiers are going over there to save Russians in their mind. But the people,
do you know how many people in Ukraine are Jewish? That whole Nazi thing is about as repugnant as you can get.
Everything the guy is doing is repugnant. Everything about this is repugnant. What else is repugnant? Okay, and I understand that there's diplomacy and people. I mean, I'm not going to put myself down and say I don't understand world policies. I'm not understanding democracies. But let's keep it real, right? There is a point in time when you just have to cut the crap and say, "What are you doing? If you do this, we're going to pick up our big stick and we're going to come over here and we're going to poke you with this big stick."
But then you actually have to do it. Right. Well, so that's the ultimatums. Like Biden.
They didn't do this with Trump. Right. And people are mad at Trump right now because he said the guy's a genius. Right. And he should be, because like he shouldn't have said that, whether you agree with it or not, because like things can be taken out of context when you're Trump or anybody else, right? So even if you're acknowledging the strategy behind what Putin's doing, right? He's still maniacal. He's still like, why he's doing it is crazy. There's no other better way to say that he's greedy and he's crazy, right? Now he may be going about it intelligently with his strategy, and he may have got his ducks in a row, right? And no matter what his strategy is and how he goes about messing with the whole world here, right? It's still, he's crazy and he's doing crazy things, even if he's doing them intelligently.
No, I agree. I think we owe the other mic.
We do, Mike. Sorry,
Mike, do your shtick, brother, because this could go on the whole show.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
I knew it was gonna be rough, man. It was gonna be a rough time.
No, I almost canceled the show, but then I was like, well, again, to the point earlier about what can two social media nerds change. Like, I'm raising awareness of this today, guys. That's what
we honestly, we wouldn't be doing our job. And I'm sorry, Mike, we're gonna put you back again. We're horrible hosts here at this point, right? But we wouldn't be doing our jobs.
It's true, Mike.
We wouldn't be who we are as people. Ira gets up there and he talks about his Christian values. He talks about his family. He talks about living a good life, right? And I talk about the golden rule and don't start none, won't be none. Like, I'm not a warmonger. I don't want to go to war, but I'm a big fan of justice. I'm a big fan of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I believe that involves all people. That's why I spent 3 years raising money for an orphanage in Guinea, right? I don't know anybody in Guinea, right? I did that because, like, that's what people should do. People ask me about billionaires and like, hey, do you want to be a billionaire with your website? Look, I'm proud being a little bit broke, right? Because I don't stockpile money for Rolexes and other things. If I have $50, I'm probably going to feed somebody that needs a meal.
I don't even wear a watch, bro. I don't,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's kind of like the point you were talking about the other day about how you got to dress up more to fit in with the in crowd. You know what? No. What you got to do, in my opinion, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? And, just got to get bigger. Get that bigger personal brand. Get that bigger personal network. Because, look, when you're big enough and you have a big enough audience and you have a big enough work, it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, Mike.
We could debate that later.
We will.
Right.
How did I go from Ukraine to clothing all while ignoring this guy?
I don't believe it. But hey, I'll send you $10. Mute him. Mute him for 30 seconds. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Like, he's gonna mute himself. Like, he's not gonna hit that button. I mean, come on, dude. Who are you fooling? Hey, hold on. What? I got to watch, but this is because someone who tried to rob me, I got to rob them because they made the wrong choice. So
hey, you know what? That sounds like awesomeness, man. If somebody tries to rob me, I'm definitely going to rob them back. Yeah, that's awesome.
The moment he realized he messed up.
That's the best elevator pitch. We just wrapped right there. Go Constanza. Leave on a high note because that was awesome.
That was great. Yeah. You thought you grabbed the Chihuahua in a bear.
That was
fun. Yeah.
That was probably the best line on speed networking history.
I'm not a big guy, so it's easy to do. Like, somebody like, I'm going to jump this guy. Uh-oh. Oops. Yeah. Oops. Anyway, look, so much going on. I'm glad you guys raised awareness and discussion, and because we should, but here's my way of thinking. It's not the first time, won't be the last time. Every day, the news is full of bad, sad, terrible. And I just personally, for me, again, I found that it's can wear you down. All right, put you in depression, because what am I can do very little or nothing for most things going on. I'm one guy trying to get by and make a living and do my thing. And most people are that way. So what I'm against, or what I choose to not participate in, is whining and complaining and self-righteous chatter, and not you guys, but there's people that do it, right? Here's what I found valuable. And this ties into what I do as a human being, as a business, because I don't see a difference. I compartmentalize who I am as a person and who I am as a business to make sense of it. But there's no difference, okay? Because if I can't be successful doing what I do, being me, then I'm going to go find something like a rodeo clown or some crap I can be successful in. So here's what I do. People complain, inflation, gas prices, all these different things that happen in our people. Somebody asked me the other day, well, what do you think about these gas prices? Look, I help one client and I pay for gas for 6 months. Okay. So what I do on twofold, I have a business that helps regular people who work hard for their money get that money working hard for them. Period. It's what wealthy people have. I do that for people. Solve problems. And think about this. How many times a day, especially today, nowadays, do you hear somebody complain about money? Be real. When I ask people that, what do they say? Oh, all the time. And Ira, if you looked at them, because you cared about them and you said, what's your plan to solve X, that problem? Now, what in the world are people going to say to that? What are you talking about? I have no plan for that. That's what I do. Hey, there's a solution. You just haven't been told it because, quite frankly, most of the industry is not geared for that. They know it's not right, but they get paid to do it. That's just my experience. Okay. Number two is helping people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Well, I don't get to show up to my little girl's recital. I miss family events. I work too much, get paid not enough. Well, that's what a job is designed for. If you're okay with that, if you join, if you get a $250,000 job offer like Michael Connor did, probably for the adult entertainment industry, just joking. But that's what when he said that, I was like, oh, I was wrong. That's not what I. But if somebody is in that,
all right, Mike,
well,
I appreciate you. You gotta work on your intro, dude, because like you didn't even tell anybody what you do. And I'm sorry, but
I help people.
We're gonna cut this back. Oh no, we're not gonna do it again now. You know, I'm not. No offense. We're not. No offense. I hate to be rude, but like,
yeah, no, guys, listen. It's 90 seconds, or I mean, usually this is the way we really do it.
Today's not the day.
90 second for the first time you come on the show. We'll let you do your intro, but you got to practice it so people know. And 60 seconds for those who come on all the time. But yeah, today is not today, but
yeah, I mean, that's it actually. Hey, I'm Michael Ashburnayer. I'm the Redneck Money Coach. I help people with life insurance. I help people with financial things. This is what I do. If you're interested in doing this, contact me here. This is kind of what we're looking for. Poor Tavita, I'm sorry for traumatizing you up there. You're probably not getting a chance to talk much. But like once we do the introductions, like you guys are welcome to chat and have the conversation. Like it's not just about what we think and what we're thinking. We want to hear what Tavita has to think about some of the stuff we're saying.
Hey, hang on a second. There's a stupid ass comment in the comments that I want to address real fast. So Quizar, thanks for being an idiot. Y'all can read this stupid comment. You know what it's called? Ask the country that got invaded. That's how you can tell the definition, dumbass. Seriously. You don't know the difference between liberation and invasion? Ask anybody in the Ukraine right now if they feel liberated by the Russian military dropping bombs. I'll show you more if you want. I got plenty of videos from my dad.
Who are they liberating? Like who? I mean, like
not liberating anybody. They're trying to remove a democratically elected government. That's an outside country invading, in case you're stupid and you don't understand the difference, invading another country to remove their leadership that was elected by the country's citizens that live there.
And this guy claims he was in military intelligence.
With your straw man argument that you can't figure that out, if you are, you need to get your ass off social media until you grow a brain. Until then, get off my show, stupid.
Well, I'm gonna block him, so he's gone now. But what an idiot! Like that guy, he claims to work for the. He claims to work or been a Pakistani military intelligence. I mean, think about that. You're in military intelligence for another country, and you don't understand the differences here.
It might be an oxymoron. That guy is an idiot. Anyways, look, for those of you watching, when you invite someone in to help protect you, that's one thing. When they come in to remove your government that's oppressing you, that could be considered libertarianism. But look, again, you got to poll the people on the street. If we go into Afghanistan and remove their government against the will of the people, then that is an invasion. 100%. Yeah, dumbass you. I'll debate you any day, dude. And if you want to get in a fist fight, just show up. You and I can go at it right now.
Why even waste your time?
You're an idiot.
Hi, Tavita. How you doing?
Doing all right. I do not want to fist fight Ira.
Not right now. Today's
I'm going to tell you a secret. Not many people, if they pay attention, actually want to fist fight me. I'm not the guy that you want to fist fight.
Well, here's the thing: is the dude's gonna kill you, like, or die trying. So, like, if you get in a fist fight with him, you're gonna have to.
You have to understand the mentality of Ira. I don't quit at anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not
Like,
quit.
you have to put the guy down, or knock him
to.
unconscious, get in your car, and leave.
Yeah, no, Ira, you and I come from some similar genetics. We've got that long haul mentality. So I respect that.
And discipline too, because you're a Lean Sigma 6. Trust me, when it comes to systematic thinking, that's how my
those are the last people you want to mess with. You know, I mean,
I try really hard to be loving and kind because that's my faith, but today's just not the day.
You know, everybody has their limits. You know what I mean? You know, everybody has those moments and times where their human side comes out. You know, it is as this, and especially when the stress is high, your dad's over there in that country getting bombed, and you got people being idiots. You know, I mean,
yeah, it is what it is, man. I've always been a defender of those who have been bullied. Always.
Yeah. Neither one of us, and like these people aren't even just being bullied. You know what I mean? They're being bombed.
Seriously, I can tell you, like these are videos. This isn't like a Hollywood studio production. You can watch if you've never lived in an area that's being carpet bombed and you want to know what it's like. I'll put it back on and we'll turn the sound on. Seriously, they're being carpet bombed. It's not just one. They're trying to make it like, oh, they're only targeting military installations. Yeah, that cities have been built around, and that's pretty dang scary. Okay, so again, not to be rude, but this is a little bit different than somebody arguing over politics. This is like real bombs going off in real cities. 40 million people live in Ukraine. Again, I don't know that people understand the size and the scope of what we're dealing with here, because most of us, myself included, I've never actually been to the Ukraine. Okay, my dad lives there, but I've never been there. So, it's easy to be twice removed here and to be able to go about your day. And I'm not offended by anybody who isn't, like enthralled by this or, doesn't understand what's going on. I get it. You know what I mean? I totally get it. But the fact is, in my situation, I have skin in the game with my dad. That's my dad. You know what I'm saying?
So Ira,
it isn't like some distant family relative that I've never met. This is my father. It is what it is.
So Ira, let me ask you a question, right? If somebody, posted a question in one of our private chats that their understanding is that Ukraine itself has been divided and there are two breakaway states that Russia is supporting. And he wants to know if he's interpreting this wrong. If it's okay for Ukraine to break away from Russia, why is it not okay for these two states to break away from Ukraine?
No, it is okay. And they actually, so it's a little bit more complicated than that. But they're basically cities that have decided they're against the Russian border. And those areas have been controlled by anti-Ukraine forces. Okay. But it's not the whole region, first of all, in either of those instances. So let's get that straight. And two, that is a Ukrainian matter, not a Russian matter. It's
well, you responded a lot.
The United States had civil war.
You responded a lot nicer than I did, because I just said miss me with that bullshit. Because
but you do have in the United States history something to look at as a comparison. You have these states, the southern states, tried to secede. What happened? We had a fight internally. Did other players get involved? They sure did, because I hate to say it, but the North wouldn't have won without the help of the French. So there is a history there. Again, you talk about being a history nerd. You got to go all the way back sometimes and look at different examples here. But he's not wrong, or she's not wrong. I didn't see who wrote it, but that person's not wrong. There is.
Yeah, you know what though? It is wrong because look, you nailed it on your point in the first 2 seconds. And Red, I had to mute you because I can hear sound in your background. You got something going on, volume wise. So another tap. The reason why I say it's bullshit is because you nailed it right off the bat, which is it's not Russia's business. It's Ukrainian. It's Ukrainian business. And let's be realistic, okay? If you're going to ask that question, let's just be really frank. You said it's on the Russian border. What do people think Russia's been doing for the last 22 years? Sending Russians across the border, They've been
Right.
infiltrating this country. They've been sending people over there for years and years and years. And it's all propaganda. It's all been a work. It's all been systematic for decades, right?
Even last
So-
night, I will tell you the invasion that happened, the physical invasion that happened, the tanks rolling in, not the jets, the tanks rolling in last night came from Belarus. And I know a lot of you guys don't know where Belarus is either, but Belarus is like at the 12 o'clock. If you're looking at Ukraine on a map and you go to the 12 o'clock, Belarus is from the 12 over to the 9. Okay. Not quite that far, but pretty close. All right. And Russia is from the 12 to, well, it actually wraps all the way around. But if you look at where the tanks came from, and they went into, not into Kyiv, they went into Kharkiv. I can't say that one right. That's the first time I heard of it. But they went there 25 miles, basically, the equivalent of 25 miles south of the Belarus border. They didn't come from Russia, but it was Russian troops. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot going on here. And again,
there's a lot of moving pieces that people aren't paying attention to. And there's a
to.
lot of stuff like, and quite honestly, asking those questions in public formats or even private chats with lots of people on them, it's not helping. It's undermining. It's kind of like the straw man argument before, because if you're not focusing the light and the attention in the right spots, and you're adding to the confusion and you're adding to the bullshit with your questions or your statements or your social media posts, I'm sorry, but you're part of the problem. So if I'm a little bit clear, I'm a little bit too blunt for people today. I'm not my happy. Like, I haven't been smiling. I haven't been joking. I haven't been the clown of LinkedIn today, right? Well, maybe it's because, I don't know, people are dying.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're dying on both sides, by the way. You know, I mean, there's been soldiers on both sides now who have died, and there's been civilian deaths. This is not, and this is just like I said at the beginning, this is the tip of the spear. If you guys are curious what's going to happen next, I believe
this is just the first move on the chessboard.
What I believe is going to happen
next is moving
China,
the pawn.
China's going to move on Taiwan while the world's distracted.
But
If you
They're definitely going to see what's happening.
listen to the rhetoric that's coming out of China right now.
I'm sorry, Tavita, I couldn't hear you.
These people have been posturing. China's been
Hi, Red.
posturing. Russia's been posturing. This is, the move happened, but it was moving before it happened.
Yeah. And like on the point of the two sections of Ukraine, like there are legal ways for those sections, if they're dissatisfied with Kiev, to break apart the same way it happened with the Soviet Union in the early 90s. There are legal ways for that state to
and that has been
you don't have to just go start bombing people.
Well, that's been in process. That's not new.
Yeah.
Right? The only thing that's new is Russia decided for whatever reason to autonomously say, "Hey, we're gonna recognize it and help you enforce it militarily."
Yeah.
That's like a province in Canada. Let's say Alberta says, "Hey, we don't want to be in Canada anymore. We want to be our own state." And the United States saying, "Okay, we're going to help you build." I hate to say this. We're going to help you build a fortification. I'll say it that way. We're going to help you build a fortification and defend it. You know what I mean? We would be out of line.
But my big
borders
right now,
clear. Those borders are internationally recognized by NATO, by the UN.
mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like the Ukraine has drawn their own map and said, "You guys have to recognize this." This was part of all the agreement when USSR was dissolved in the first place. And then, like I said, Crimea, which again everybody wants to just forget happened, but that already happened. And why did they take Crimea? If you look at the border, Ukraine is on the Black Sea. What is the Black Sea? It's access to a warm water port, because all Russia's other ports are Arctic ports. So they freeze over. You can't get your ships in without cutting ice, right? You're locked in the winter months. So, but the Black Sea is not like that. You can still get out and into the Atlantic and out into the Pacific, and you can do commerce globally if you want to. And that's why Crimea was taken, because it sits at the very bottom, again, if we're going back to the clock, it's at the 6 o'clock, not the 12. So Russia now, because of Crimea, it surrounds, one half, 180 degrees of Ukraine. Again, just buy yourself a globe and look at it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, and we have to understand that this war is not just going to be a military war, specifically with the sanctions, with the fall of the ruble and the economic data. Since we're on LinkedIn, that's what we should try to talk about too.
Well, you missed it.
Russia showed weakness on the economic front last night, and I think the sanctions are going to be dialed up compared to what Biden and NATO have said. I think it's going to get much more difficult.
Did you also want to talk about how ineffective that's actually going to be because of cryptocurrency and cyber warfare?
And it's going to be much more damaging for the average Russian citizen than and for a long period of time before it affects Putin. But I don't see that
it'll ever reach Putin. War. Honestly, I don't know that it'll reach Putin. It will be devastating to Russians. There is no doubt about it. And
100%.
Putin doesn't care about that. And it's also going to be devastating to people in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
The banks are basically going to be shut down. You can't, okay, for those of you, again, you don't have inside access to the Ukraine. Here's a little inside tip for you. Nothing's open. Nothing. The banks aren't open. The stores aren't open. The schools aren't open. It's called martial law. And I know you've never probably been under martial law. There's nothing open except for military stuff. And right now, if you're in the Ukraine and you want to join what they're calling the defense force, anybody, all you have to do is have a pulse and be willing. They'll give you a weapon. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Who wants to live like that? But that's their reality. That's their reality. This is, it is what it is.
Yeah, and we're talking about this a lot as Ukraine versus Russia, but we shouldn't be taking sides of the countries. We need to be taking sides of the citizens. Those are the people who are going to be the most damaged by this, is the boots on the ground, the guy who just wants to go to work. Those are the people who, like, it's the civilians who suffer in war. It's not the militaries.
Well, that's not entirely.
So, but suffer the most usually.
The military is the one dying. So
yeah. Well, the report that I heard was there were over 300 civilian deaths. Russia is saying there are 0, but I don't know if I trust them right now.
No, I don't know where you're getting your information. But anyways, the military suffers. The bases get destroyed, the equipment gets blown up, the people die. I mean, anytime there's a war, the military is going to pay a price. But that doesn't mean that the general population isn't adversely affected. In a lot of ways, in different ways, because the military typically will be supplied with food, right, and have some type of shelter where the citizens won't be. So, again, it's a lot harder if you want to talk about it for real. There is no single sentence soundbite. You can't oversimplify things, and that's what we call strawman arguments. But at the end of the day, the people in Russia, the people in Ukraine are all going to suffer because of this. Because I'm going to tell you right now, in case you guys are watching and you think the Ukraine military is just going to lay down their weapons and say, I surrender. That's not their mindset. These people will fight to the death. They really will. Will they eventually surrender? Yeah, they eventually will get crushed and all have no other choice. But it's like somebody broke into your home and wants, to take your wife and kids away from you. Are you going to let them? I don't care how big they are. Mike, you break into my house. You're 6'5", 300 pounds.
Oh, I already know.
You know what I'm saying? You still know for a fact you and I are going to fight, right? I mean, that's going to happen. That's the Ukraine mindset. That's what happened. The 6'5" Russia broke into the house of the Ukraine and said, we're here to steal your people. And the man of the house is going to do what he was trained to do, and that's defend his family. And that, I mean, that's an oversimplified analogy, but think about it from that perspective, and maybe you start to understand the mindset of these people. They're not just going to, they've already proven it. Go back to 2014. Watch what happened in 2014. That was a bloody conflict. Ukraine didn't just roll over. They didn't do a Poland and say, please don't hurt us.
And I don't think any, even 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of content won't cover everything that's happened in the last 24.
can't.
We can't possibly know everything that's going on the ground. We don't know all the pieces that are moving. I'm not a military expert. I hear as much as I can, but it's terrifying for everybody involved.
I'm with Jason Ricks. I mean, I'm reading Jason Ricks' comments, and I'm like, Jason, where are you, bro?
Yeah.
Like, he's not. He's got me. Like Jason, and I think a lot alike. I think, but you know, I
Well,
don't
think
like
Jason and
bullies.
Ryan aren't
I
getting
don't
any
like
of the-
bullies of any kind.
No.
You know, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to get my butt kicked to stand up to a bully. I think sanctions. You talk about sanctions. They're because of who Russia is, for many reasons: their size, their economy, their resources, the way. I hate to say it, but the mindset that they have. I mean, there's so many cultural differences between America and Russia, especially with the leader that we did spend like 20 minutes on that already, but with their leadership, sanctions we're wasting time. They didn't slow them down. They're not going to slow them down. Even removing SWIFT again. I know most of you don't know what SWIFT is, but look it up and educate yourself. It's it's the world's banking system, basically, right? It's oversimplified. But do you take Russia out of SWIFT, which is the big sanction threat? That's the biggest hammer they have. They don't have a bigger hammer than that.
Yeah, but you know what? They already plan on all that. You know what I
They
mean?
have planned on it. That's what I'm saying. Like, you think this is? We're not
gonna hurt them with sanctions, and Russia's banking on the fact that, like you said earlier, Ukraine's not part of NATO. Like, if you attack a country that's in NATO, everybody has no choice. If you attack a NATO-based country, we have to go kill you. You know, that's just the way it is. And these people made the mistake of telling the world, "Hey, we're gonna join NATO." Okay. So think about this from a humanitarian perspective, okay? These people in Ukraine said, hey, these Russians are sending propaganda against us. They're sending spies in here. They're trying to destabilize our country. Everybody knows what's going on, right? People can ask their bullshit questions. People can say their bullshit things, but everybody really knows what's happening here, which is Putin's trying to get power by any means necessary. So these people knew it was coming for a long period of time because they're there. As Americans, we can ignore it because they're not our neighbors. But if Canada was doing this crap, we'd be watching, we'd be paying attention. So here these people are talking about their neighbors, like, hey, let's go join NATO. Okay. Before that happens, Russia's like, nope, boom, drops the bomb. So now the rest of the world has a choice to make. Do we help the people that were going to join NATO? All right. And do we set that precedent that, hey, once they declared that they're going to join NATO, right, that, you know, they're under our protection, right? Or do we let Russia get away with this and try to set a different precedent, which to me doesn't offer the value that it should?
Well, I'm going to tell you another thing that's at stake here. America's role as the undisputed superpower is on full display right now, because if we are so cowardly that, you know, we're gonna fine you for killing that person, because that's basically what sanctions are. We're gonna fine you, and people might not like that analogy, but I don't care, because it is what it is. You know, the fact is China's watching, and North Korea is watching, and Cuba is watching, and the people down in Argentina, frankly, are probably watching. There's a lot of people watching that are going, and there's probably some countries.
The whole world is watching.
That's what I'm saying. So the big bad bully, don't mess with the United States, because they will come in and bloody your nose. Well, it's a lot different if we're talking about paper cuts now. If we're talking about we're going to starve people, to Red's point.
Well, I mean, we had no problem going to Afghanistan. We had no problem going to Iraq, right?
As long as they have any access to food, as long as they have any access to money, as long as they have any access to, you know, what it takes to survive and thrive, the leadership of that country is going to have, right? They're going to get that. The people are the first ones that are going to go hungry and starve and dehydrate and all that stuff. So if I'm a dictator, or if I'm running a country in what's considered a rogue manner, again, I know that that's open to interpretation. It's based on human values, and not everybody shares our values. I totally get it. If I'm running a rogue nation in a way that pleases me and not necessarily is popular in the global, opinion, I'm paying attention to what's happening right now, because again, I might want to go attack my neighbor who might not have the same strength, forces, and capabilities to defend themselves. Going, well, I can not be a part of SWIFT. Frankly, a lot of countries could be excluded from SWIFT and not even know the difference because they're so poor anyways. Right? We're talking third world countries now. With Russia, it's a little bit different. But again, part of the problem with Russia right now is their size. They're almost too big for this. So you have the people that are so small it wouldn't affect them, and you have people that are so big it might not affect them. China being the other one. On the other side of the foot, look at what North Korea has done with sanctions. They've not only survived, they've thrived. They've acquired nuclear capabilities through all these sanctions. You can shake your head all you want. They've acquired nuclear capabilities through 40 years of sanctions. That's not thriving. Militarily, they're one of less than 20 countries that has nuclear capabilities in the world. That, to me, is incredible that they were able to do it. It shows that what you can do when you're determined. And again, you don't care if your people starve, because let's make no bones about it. The people in North Korea have suffered greatly for a long time.
And that's what I was shaking my head at, is when you were saying thriving, I was thinking of the country as a whole and not as
leadership and the official capabilities of the country.
Yeah.
Again,
the nation overall is doing horribly, but from a military perspective, they're above average.
Right.
Not to change the subject on you, right?
Okay.
But you're intelligent and you have emotional intelligence, and I like the way you carry the conversation, right? And not to bag on people that don't carry on the conversation the way you do, but every time I see you on one of these podcasts or live streaming events, you do a really good job of being attentive and listening and paying attention to the conversation and then adding value. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Give you your 90 seconds, Chet.
I want to give you a tip, because you've been asking me in comments and I haven't really said anything. First of all, the backdrop is fine. The color is fine. It's good contrast. But what I want to suggest that you do, and actually just made this suggestion to another one of my clients yesterday. What I did with mine is I did a step and repeat pattern. So I would have recommended that you do that, but that's okay. But I'm
probably going to do that. That's just the first one that my wife printed.
Yeah, but what I would do if you're
what an awesome wife.
If you're going to have just that one, is shift it over to the right or to the left, because your head covers it.
Yeah,
and it's a cool. I think that says salespeople.
It's better than a couch. Yeah. At least you're not that idiot,
right? So, for those of you who don't know what Red does, he's helped doing sales training, right? So. But if you shift that over, that could be a good conversation starter for you.
Yes. Yeah, I was planning on doing them so when I stand up and have them on either side.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I did this. So I know you can't see from my camera angle, but this one's 8 feet tall and 10 feet wide. And it's just step and repeat the whole way. So anywhere I stand or twist or whatever, you always get at least one in the, I don't know, it's over here somewhere.
Yeah, I may do 2 more. I may do 1 here and then 2 more. So that, like, if I'm sitting down, I could just literally, this is in my basement. Like, I have it as soundproofed as I can. I used to do it literally.
And then you and I talked about, too, for a green screen, you want them tight. Obviously, on mine, I've chosen to have the ruffles in there. I've gone back and forth on that. But I kind of like having those, because the reason I like having those is it proves it's not a green screen. It's not AI. It's a real backdrop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This one is literally, I'm holding it down. I'm still perfecting it. It's literally held on with duct tape right now. I am not a polished person. It's literally like, okay, I'm holding it to, like, here. Like, you can just see this is in the basement.
If you're watching this and you're curious how I do it, what you want to look for is backdrop holder. They have adjustable backdrop stands.
Yeah.
And I think the hardware is like $80, right? So you pay more for the backdrops than you do for the stand. but it's what'll happen is they have like tripod feet, so
Mhm.
there's 3, and it keeps it from tipping over, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's adjustable and it breaks down. You can take it with you. So if you ever go to a trade show or you can take it with you.
That's eventually the plan. Literally, this was a $15 backdrop, and then I had spare copper pipe that I'm using as a rail.
Hey,
I am a full blown like this is going to work while it does, and
it's way better. It's way better than nothing.
it's lips like there's only so much lipstick this pig can have, so like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Your red beard is like my white glasses.
Yes.
It makes you a kissable pig for sure.
Well, that's what caught.
I couldn't help myself. I had to.
That's what caught Mike's attention with you was not what you were saying. It was your beard.
Yeah,
I never honestly saw anything about that dude. I literally was just scrolling my feed one day and I saw his face. And I was like, nice beard. I was like, that was it.
But it's all about like the authenticity. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. I've done most of my podcast episodes with my workbench behind me with, all the tools. The problem was it got too echoey. It got to be an issue. So, I mean, I've got a shower curtain right here just because I need something to try to dull the noise. But I'd rather it be. It just has to be done. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's never going to be video quality.
This right here, you can get a stack of these. I think you can get 10 of them for like $25.
Exactly.
They come like sealed in cellophane.
Yeah.
So you have to like add. I dipped them in water and then I let them sit for like an hour and they sprung back to shape.
Yeah, but I'm doing that. It's just a matter of I still need access to that side, so it's not a firm wall. This is right here, but just there, it's a shower curtain and then my furnace behind it. So that's probably the noise you were hearing before, Mike.
Well, the other thing that you can do, like these mics, the mic that I have, it's got what's called noise cancellation mics.
Yeah.
So that'll help. What happens with these echo chambers, just for any of you who are looking to set up a sound studio at home, it hits your monitor, it hits your wall, it bounces back, and now it's picking up the sound twice, the sound wave more than once. And that's where you get some reverb or echo effect. So I have the this right here is designed to keep it from the wind. It's called a wind screen. Yeah. So you don't get the wind in the mic. And then I have a mic cover, and then I have a noise canceling mic. And then
that's why I can never hear you.
Right. Then I have these up to help keep the sound from bouncing back. Because what this does, the waves hit it and it splits the waves up into more pieces.
Yeah. So
it's not a solid wave. Anyways, that's probably more
just
about.
In case anybody needed more proof that Ira is indeed a super nerd.
I'm really a nerd. Yeah.
But, hi, Ryan. Speaking of nerds, no offense. How are you doing today?
He's a big nerd.
Yeah. What's going on, guys?
No much.
You're making
we're going to change it up here. We're going to give you your 90 seconds and go.
Ryan, don't whack your head on the.
Yeah, Mike has his couch and I got my fan. Like those are our backdrops, man.
That's a big fan, though, bro.
He's a big guy. He needs a lot of air.
Yeah, I don't have AC, so I need.
He lives in Hawaii. Don't feel bad for this guy. He lives in Hawaii.
No, I'm not
no AC. Just an ocean and coconuts.
Yeah.
Well, he lives more in the mountains, so he gets to see the mountains.
No, I can see the ocean from my other window.
Thanks for rubbing that in. Thanks. There's your 90 seconds. It's been fun.
No, this is not a discussion to pitch yourself. I mean, I'm just listening to what you guys.
I feel bad. I was kind of rude to Mike earlier, but well, important stuff going on.
Well, what we're asking for is when you pitch yourself, we're gonna let you go, but we don't want you going for 4 minutes. It's like it starts to get to the
I don't care if you go for 60 seconds if it's not great. Like, we're here to be entertaining, we're here to be chat, right? We're all in our 30s, we're all in our 40s, we're all adults, we all know what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? We're giving you the opportunity to get on here and tell other people what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And you got to be able to say it quickly, otherwise people are not going to pay attention. Like, I have it down to one sentence. I build digital audiences and drive website traffic. That's what I do.
You know what? I'm going to be the same guy everywhere, right? And I'm going to just do it more and more. And I came on here with kids gloves the first couple networking events. And then I got a lot of negative feedback from people. I don't like negative feedback. I don't want people saying, hey, Mike, I was watching your show until so-and-so rambled on for 12 minutes, or so and so was being rude, or so and so was being toxic this way, or like, I don't got time for it. You know, if you don't want me to say, hey, hold up, stop, you know, I hate to do this to you, but you're rambling, like, don't ramble. You know, like,
Ooh, I need a don't ramble graphic, Mike.
well, and people can use it on me. You know,
I can make that for you. Yeah.
People made this. He made this, guys. Okay, for me, like he made this because I ramble. So now it's on my show. So like I'm really tempted every time he starts talking just to do that, but then I don't because it's got his logo on it up there, the BDM.
I got 2 logos, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other one's more of a charity thing, so you're not really making money with that one. You're just helping people, and I know you want to help people, and I want to help you help people, but like. If I can get a hold up sign without
you do help me help people. That's what's great. It's awesome.
I was thinking of the old Chappelle Show bit with the Oscar music, like like that.
You know what? Ira, this dude makes a great point here. Okay, we got to celebrate the Reds of the world that come on here and they enjoy the conversation, they engage in a positive way, or the people that come on and they give that super elevator pitch. We need like an Oscar like nomination, like sign, so that way, like when somebody does a good job,
that was award worthy. Something.
Yeah, we need like a trophy, like a trophy in the middle. Can we just replace hold up and what with a trophy,
like a gold star logo?
Yeah, like winner of the day.
I'll make it a PNG, so it'll be clear, so you can still see the people. But I'll have it like in the middle, and
like start. Look, guys.
Yeah,
we're doing this show for multiple reasons, right? And the biggest part of the reason that people a big reason, okay, not the biggest part, but a big reason why I'm doing this and with Ira is to educate other people on how to do the things we do and why we do them, right? If you're out in the street, at the bar, a networking event, anywhere, and somebody goes, "Hey, nice to meet you. What do you do?" Which happens if you're interested or if you're trying, right? You better know what to tell them, right?
That.
You got to practice this, not just for our stupid live networking events here, but for life in general. Like, I want the meat and potatoes, right? But I don't want just the potatoes if there's no meat, right? You better believe that I wasn't a natural in any of this, right? I used to be known as the mouth and being a talker, but for a long part of my life, and maybe it's still true in a lot of people's opinions, I would talk about shit that nobody cared about. I would talk about what I cared about. And then I realized nobody's listening. So if I want people to listen, I have to talk about relevant things and people and things that people might actually be able to use. I got to be able to give that actionable advice.
How many times a day do I have to tell somebody, whether they're my client or prospect or both, frankly, that they need to spend more time in the comments of other people's posts, and they need to stop talking about themselves, and they need to start, basically being interested in what the other people are talking about. Because in the long game, the chess game, it's not about you. It comes back to you the more you invest in other people. So that's what Red, my advice to you. I know you were chasing a milestone and you hit it, and congratulations for that. But honestly, if you do more of what I'm talking about right here, you'll start. I used to add, I don't want to look, I'm not trying to come off cocky or whatever. We used to add 1,000 people a day on LinkedIn, one day.
And because you're in the middle of having great conversations daily with great people,
Right.
Here's the thing, right? If it's just Ira and I talking back and forth every day, yeah, sure, we got a lot of cool things to say, and we can talk about current events, and we can always find something relevant to say, but it's boring as hell, right? We want to get more people coming on talking about what they're doing. And like yesterday, we're in a group chat, just for full disclosure, with a few people, and Red's in this group chat with a lady named Sia. Sia had a guest cancel, so Red and Virginia jumped up on her show, right? Why did that happen? Well, because we've been networking with all these people and we got them together,
friends.
Right?
Made friends.
I mean, that's the whole point. Like, imagine if Red wasn't in that chat because he wasn't online networking, then Sia would have no guest. And I'm not always going to be there. Ira's not going to always be there. Like a week or so ago, somebody canceled and I was on our show because I was there and I was able to do so, right? So personal branding and social media networking really opens up a lot of doors. What people don't realize is that the World Wide Web is exactly that.
It changed my whole life, Mike, right? I mean, I went from being a career print guy to now I run a digital marketing agency, and I have not spent a single penny in advertising.
No, I mean,
like, it's crazy when you think about that, but it all happened because of what I do on LinkedIn It all happened because I had a conversation with you back in 2018. It was May of 2018, I think. Maybe it was April, but anyways, it was back there. We had a conversation, and you opened my eyes to what was possible.
Well, it's the World Wide Web for a reason. That's what it's known for, right? And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I do a really good job at looking at shit that's right in front of me. So when I first got online, I'm like, World Wide Web, what does that mean? That was the first question I asked myself 20 something, 30, however long we're old, right? When I first heard of the World Wide Web, I go, what does that mean? I started researching it, right? Well, think about it. It's a web. We're all on the same web. When you get online, or the president or somebody else that you want to talk to gets online, guess what? We're all spiders on the same web. You can literally walk down the web and you can go talk to anybody. You can knock on their door. You can put your content right in front of their face. You can tag them. What people don't realize is that in 2015, and I changed my philosophy. I changed my work ethic. I changed my targeting practices. I changed my whole schlick because I changed what's important to me, right? But when I was raising money for these orphanages, I wasn't going after personal glory or audiences. I wanted to get politicians to start donating money to the kids in Guinea, right? So I started making friends with politicians and world leaders. So what I'm telling you guys isn't just something that somebody's saying because they read it somewhere. I've actually done this. There was a world leader, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to give too many quotes or anything like that, right? But they were having a midlife crisis divorce type situation. They were having problems going on in their world, right? At the time, I had like 1,400 connections. And I'm not going to say this person ran for president or ran for Senate or ran for anything like that, right? But I sent this person a message and I said, hey, sorry to hear about what's going on with your marriage. It's not all relationships are, meant to last. And, sorry, everyone's taking this into the personal thing about what you're doing. I believe in what you're trying to do over here. And I hope that other people keep those two items separate. Right. Well, guess what? That person was on TV, on CNN, on Fox, worldwide, all the time at that moment in history. Right. They still responded to my message. They connected with me on LinkedIn. Why? Because the people on CNN, the people on Fox, and everybody else that's on that World Wide Web never took the time to send a message that said, hey, you're human too. Don't forget that, but I see you. You're still putting your pants on the same way. I see you're going through these problems, right? But just because me, one out of a billion people, sent this guy or person a message and say, hey, sorry you're dealing with this, I got connected to them. That was an aha moment. That's what led me to talking to Ira. That's what led me talking to Red. That's what led me getting this group chat with C and everybody. That's why the Service Professionals Network is here, is because I realized you can literally be that one person that influences the world, one conversation, one like, and one comment at a time. Jason Ricks, how are you doing? I never chatted with you before, but just from your comments here in this feed today, I want to know about you.
Jason Ricks is one of my buddies. He's a good.
I'm sorry, Jason.
Yeah, it's all right. Ira and I have known each other now for, I don't know, 2-3 years, something like that. So yeah, this is heavy on my heart today too.
I can see the passion.
Yeah, I think the biggest part for me is I get it. Our society has moved into this phase where we want to politicize every single thing.
Yep.
And I'm tired of that we don't talk about what's right, what's wrong, and find ways to solve problems as a nation. And I'm just over, the R and the D driving everything on what we should do. And I think that there's a lot of people that feel the way I do. And we've got to figure out collectively how to make our voices heard in a more productive way, because the people that are elected to represent us do not represent me, nor do I think they represent any of us. And has nothing to do with what our own value systems are. It has to do with what their agendas are. And so that's why I'm upset about the whole thing, is that we're not talking about the human factor here. We're not talking about what's right. We're talking about.
Yeah, we're not 100%. That's why I'm glad we're doing this, Jason. And I appreciate you. I'm 100% sorry if I'm interrupting you, but I would have used that gold. I would have used that gold trophy thing like 18 times there with what you're saying, because you nailed it on the whole head, right? nobody has any empathy, right? Most people aren't going to be talking about this stuff because it doesn't help them sell whatever widget or product or service they're getting. A lot of people are actually asking themselves, why are Mike and Ira talking about this?
Yeah,
Even though Ira's dad, his dad is in the country. His dad's in the country.
You know what? This is the thing. This is what actually I asked this question. How is this going to affect you in your business 2 days ago? Because this doesn't surprise me at all. And the response of the apathetic response that I got didn't honestly surprise me either. It disgusts me, but it doesn't surprise me. But here's the thing about all of this. We used to, maybe it was just my naivete, and maybe it wasn't even really this way, but I grew up in an era of Reagan, okay? And Reagan was not afraid to call somebody evil. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, right?
Well, 100%.
That's the era. Like we looked at East Germany and said, "You're evil." We didn't try to like justify. Well, you know, these guys have broken off and they're trying to be separate.
This is going to negatively impact our shares. This is going to negatively impact.
And we don't want to put our skin in the game. Like, do you remember? I remember as a kid growing up in the Cold War, like the threat of nuclear war was a real thing, and we had drills for it. But why did we do that? Was not because we were afraid to stand up for what was right, to Jason's point, but because we would call a spade, and that's how we got our reputation as, you know, a defender of the weak.
I just want to add one thing on that too, is on this whole point, like we have more in common with the average Russian citizen, the average Ukrainian citizen, the average
100%.
East German citizen than we do with our own representatives nowadays. And that is a major, major problem. I can have a much more logical conversation with any citizen of the world than I can with my own representatives.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, whether you're R or a D, if you ever try to talk to one of them about anything, you're going to find out how much logic is not a part of the conversation.
No.
They're defending their political positions.
Exactly.
And,
and they're not even defending their own political positions. They're
the ones that
they're defending like by committee political positions.
But it's not even that. If we really want to get down to it, they're paid in the election cycle via what we call political contributions and donations.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are given.
Even though they're not supposed to use that money, they do.
Right. They're given millions of dollars in exchange for, hey, you're going to vote this way. You're going to vote that way. Yeah. And then what's really funny, if you look at it, those corporations support both sides.
Yep.
They win no matter who wins. That's the facade of all of this that nobody seems to like want to.
And that's a whole nother discussion we could go on for hours with that very easily. Like, that's a
they divided for a reason. If you allow yourself to be divided like a sheep, you really have to ask yourself, why do I allow myself to be manipulated? But
right there, that question. Why do I allow myself to be manipulated? Okay. We have to hold up on that one for a second. Okay. People ask me, or people get offended when I tell them, hey, I'm not in the mood for your crap. Like that guy with that question. I already gave him a real nice answer. I was like, hey, miss me with that bullshit. Right. Here's the thing. I come from a tough love family, if no love family. Right. My twin brother and I, we are very honest and direct. Sometimes when we are talking to each other, my friends and family that have known us for decades and their entire lives think to ourselves, are you guys fighting right now? Are you mad at each other? No, we're cutting through the crap because he's my twin brother. I'm his twin brother. We know we love each other. Ira and I do it a lot too. I already tell Red and I, like he may lean a little bit more left than I do. I may lean a little bit more right than Red does, right? But we can still meet in the middle and have a conversation because we're direct and we focus on the issues rather than people. And part of the problem that we have as a society, a global society, right, is that people don't say stop when there's a straw man argument. Like Ira called up that guy who was the military intelligence guy from Pakistan, who in my opinion makes all of Pakistan look bad because he's your intelligence officer. I hope he's just a scammer on LinkedIn. I hope he made that up. It's really some guy in New Jersey. But my point is, if more people say stop that, I'm not buying into this argument, or we're not having this conversation, guess what? You wouldn't be watering the plant. So many people water the plant by engaging in these conversations. I'm sorry, I don't have time for strawman arguments. I might drop dead going to take a crap here in the next 7 minutes. I'm not going to waste any of my time having arguments that are nonsensical. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, especially when you've got a serious subject like this, people are actually dying. Again,
dying.
I don't know if it's 300 people or 40 people. It depends on what outlet you're watching, I guess, right? But I can tell you this. I've seen it on, you always look for validation or verification if you're intelligent. Okay, you don't just take any one source as your sole source. Like when I watch news, a lot of people are either like CNN or NBC or Fox or wherever.
Drives me bonkers. Like, how can you have an intelligent conversation with you when you only get the information from one viable source?
Right.
If it's even viable in the first place.
That you want to hear.
Figure out what
reinforces your stance too. Right?
Yeah. So what positions do these outlets take? You can tell by how they cover stories. Mm-hmm. They take a liberal stance. They take a conservative stance. There is no such thing as honest news anymore. So if you think that is true, then that's your problem right there. So what I do is I consume them from a variety of outlets. When you get CNN and Fox and some of these other all agreeing on something, then you go, okay, that's probably true. Because everybody. But now here's the thing, there's news agencies outside the United States too. You know what I mean? You can go to like the BBC. You can go.
BBC is really good. Like
yeah. You can go. Israel's got news. There's all kinds of stations that you can go to, and you can pick up some. Put them together. If they all jive, then that's probably something you can count on, and that's what I do, right?
I think that's a really good point. I'd add something, gentlemen, having served all over the world and live in some of these countries where some of these things are happening. First of all news media has its own agenda. It doesn't matter
which side.
They are nothing more than a propaganda machine to achieve those agendas, and they're controlled by the highest bidder.
That's right.
So they're selling whether it's right, left and right are an illusion. Which one of us is all the way one thing or another? There are issues on both sides that matter so much to each one of us, and to be forced or be told that we should be forced to choose a side and then to create an echo chamber is comfortable for a short time, right? It's comfortable for a short time to surround ourselves with somebody who agrees with certain issues. But what we have to understand is that we're all being manipulated. It's being done by a world banking cartel. It's a huge global movement to shut down all independence. They're trying to crush small businesses. They're trying to take away your ability to make your own choices, regardless of which side of the aisle, as they put it, you may sit. And the best thing that we can all do is what's happening here right now. Intelligent, conscientious people who want the truth, who want to be involved in things that matter and to make a difference.
And David Rogers, nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah.
Nice
I don't even know if I'm going to give you 90 in seconds now, because that was fantastic. Have we ever chatted before?
That's like a mic drop.
We've never chatted before, right? People, this is how you come onto our show and you make an entrance. This is networking. This is marketing. I have no idea what Mr. Rogers does. I have no idea about his neighborhood. But I'm going to go check out his neighborhood. I want to be friends with this guy. I want him to be my neighbor. This is the type of neighbors we all need. No offense.
David Rogers is an outstanding.
I had to go there.
Network.
Yeah. Also, just on that point, like we keep talking left and right, but it's not two-dimensional. The political map is literally three-dimensional. There's a Z-axis with authoritarian and anti-authoritarian. They're keeping us fighting left and right so things could edge up to the authoritarian level.
Absolutely.
Like it's not. Don't argue left and right. Argue anti-authoritarian.
Well, Red brings up a good point. but let's talk about what's the biggest antitrust in America right now? The political system.
Yes.
Because you
Absolutely.
got the left, you
We
got
gotta
the
get on
right,
that.
and they put barriers in place so people who are not left or right, they cannot penetrate the political system. You can do it on your local level, but you cannot get on the national stage. Now there's you got the Libertarian Party, which is kind of like the third party, but they never get on the stage because they put the polling numbers so high. They put the cost to get on stage to do the debates. I mean, if you put some normal people on a debate stage with some of these other career politicians, they would crush them.
It's
they don't
almost
want
like
that to happen.
somebody has to make their own social media network that's designed for that, but is pragmatic and doesn't go all nuts with the right or the left wing crazy stuff, and maybe just network all the professionals that have a brain together. If somebody would just do that, maybe we could just get something.
That's like you
going.
said, Mike. Most of us are in the middle.
No, but this is the thing. This is the thing. You kind of got off track here just a little bit because you're talking inside the boundaries of one country. What it really is control, and it's really about money, okay? Because money makes the world go round, right? How do these guys? These corporations aren't U.S. corporations only; they're global conglomerates.
Multinational.
They're owned by countries.
They have investments in the political arena in all these major areas, not just the United States, but in Germany, in England, in the Ukraine, even. Like, look. Money makes it all move. It's the grace that moves.
And Ira, you're 100%, not to cut you off, sir, but that's the whole point, is that they're playing with our country and all countries' lives, the civilians, the citizens.
Everybody.
Market, they're shorting certain countries, they're doing long calls on others, and they move those things around like it's a game in a chessboard.
That's what Swift.
The only way to beat it is for us to come together and say, it doesn't matter if you want reparations and somebody else wants something else and somebody else wants something else. That has nothing to do with what really matters. It matters that you can feed your families. I can feed my family, that we can help other people better provide for their children and their families. It matters to me how all the citizens in my neighborhood, so to speak, are faring. Whether we agree about one issue or another does not define us.
It shouldn't. We allow it to.
But the thing is, the matter is emotion.
Yeah.
It's too much emotion going on. That's why, like I agree with this, Mr. David. Doesn't matter what you like, right? But if you really respect
Mike,
the emotion,
your internet's not doing well.
Okay, sorry.
So hang on a second. So, like, Project Help You Grow is a global effort. I started it in 2018. I don't care where the person's from. I don't care what they do. I don't care how much they make. I don't care how they vote. I don't care who they sleep with. I don't care any of that. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of the project was to help people gain employment so that they could take care of their families, right? Take care of themselves and chase their goals. Like, that's the thing. It's easy to say stuff, but look at what people do and look at their heart. I never made a thing that was just for the people in my neighborhood. I never made the thing that was just for the people in my state or just in my, country, or just for the people who, happen to be conservative, or the people who happen to be straight or happen to be Christian, or whatever you are. You can put up a job listing from anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world in any language. You don't have to use English. You can have it for MLM stuff or for the most straight, laced, historically, viable business there is. It doesn't matter. It's for everybody, forever, because the welfare of the human is what I'm interested in, not the politics of the human. And I think a lot of it away from that. Like, I care about people. What I don't like, and I will always fight, is evil. I don't like evil. People can be evil, but people can also, they can change, and I hope that they do. And I try to educate people with what I say and how I say it, and I try to set a good example. But frankly, there's too many people that have allowed themselves to be manipulated. One of the problems here, people don't think. And then the other problem that people have is they try to defend an undefendable position.
100%, because somebody said so.
They have taken sides on politics like a sports team, right? I'm always going to be pro Raiders. Why? Because I like the Raiders. And you know what? That's all fun and games. That's not real life, but that's not real life stuff. Now we're
My
talking about
sympathies.
right. Now we're talking about people dying. We're talking about people eating. We're talking about people can't go to school today. People literally, there's going to be civilian casualties, innocent civilians that have nothing to do with any of this. They're going to die today, and the forecasts are they're going to die in the upper 5 figures, right? So more than 10,000 people. That's what the estimates.
And that's so light. Come on, man. It's going to be so much more.
But I'm just saying.
No, he's just saying.
I'm just making.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying everybody that's putting it out there in the news media. Like, give us the truth, right? When you're like 40 people. Look, earlier this morning, many times, because I do watch all these, and I made a global news thing on my website, right, where it curates all the, and I put that in the comments somewhere. But I literally curate all the different news sources from around the world on one particular page on my website, right? And when I'm not tagging Ira and what he's saying here is, but we see this and almost every single one. 40 people died in Ukraine today. You're telling me the Russian military invaded this country from 4 different directions, from different countries with tanks and planes, and they're bombing everybody, and they killed 40 people? That's what you're telling me?
No way.
No, man. It's got to be more.
More? The first missile killed 40 people. You know what I mean? Like, and then the news media is like, hey, look at these burned buildings. Look at this. Like, they're not showing you the bodies.
No.
Well,
it's going to take time to confirm them. Like, but yeah.
Well, I understand.
It goes back to the agenda, doesn't it, Mike? Doesn't it go back to the agenda? I mean, depending on your angle or what you're trying to achieve through your propaganda that you're spreading through your media outlet is going to determine what you press through and try to convince the people of. The truth of the matter is, I can think back. I'm a little older than I look, and
you are?
And
your shirt's making you look young, buddy.
I know.
I love that shirt.
That's what I was going to say.
I'm almost 60. So I remember a lot of presidents. I remember a lot of conflicts. And
done that.
Yeah, and I think we've always sort of been pushed to believe certain things. I mean, whether you want to talk about alien conspiracies and blah, 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 it's all the same thing. We've always been driven down a path. What's most interesting now is that this has all become a global movement. It's very interesting to me that the same propaganda, go back to the pandemic, whatever you think about that, I won't weigh in on my sides on that. But the point is that during that process, the exact same language that was being said in our grocery stores on the recordings was being said in the grocery stores in South Africa and Australia. We're all in this together. Just distance. Be patient. It was a very big propaganda move. And it now we see this with these wars and conflicts. It appears to me that what's happening is that the global banking cartels decided to squeeze down. It appears to me that the movement that started way back with the Georgia Guidestones, way back with Agenda 21, all these sorts of things are all now playing out in a very real way. The chess game has become our children, our brothers, our nephews, our cousins, and our neighbors. When I say neighbors, I mean neighbors in other countries, even over the pond. We are seeing people being used to achieve this agenda. I believe where we're headed is not a pretty place. And I believe we can stop it, but it's not going to happen through violence. It's not going to happen through us shooting each other and pulling up.
You'll never get the guy, because the guy who's pulling the strings, he's not going to be the guy in the front line. He's not going to be the guy from the missiles.
The pyramid.
That dude's in Abu Dhabi, man. He's safe. He's in some hotel eating grapes. He's got a pool. You know, I mean, like,
but there's only a few of them up there.
Yeah.
And they depend on the level below them, who depends on the level below them, who depends on those of us here on this bottom of this pyramid. So we really have the power, but we have to unite. We have to stop the movement to divide us. Ira, this is the 100%. Reason I began to follow you. This is the reason that I came to really feel like, even though we haven't met in person, I have love for you. Because you really are what you were just talking about. You really have invested a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money into helping everyone you could. Then I run into this Mike O'Connor guy. Who the heck is this? I go start looking at his things, and I'm like, man, this guy's trying to help everybody. At first, I thought you were a little nutty, Mike, because I'm like, how can you possibly gain? How can you grow by just being out there? And you too, Ira, just being out there doing everything you can to help all these different people with no clear path. And then it finally dawned on me. Holy Moses, isn't this how we should be living? Forget business. Business is just one fraction of our lives. If we're focused on lifting up and bringing everyone together, sharing our consciousness and teaching others through our example how to let go of those little corner things we feel so strongly about, those things that we're so ramped up about, and to say, hey, there's a bigger job here. Now, the big group at the bottom of the pyramid stands up, and guess what happens to those little peons at the top? They fall. They have nothing. So this kind of conversation, I'm grateful for. Thank you.
That's exactly why we do it, man.
You nailed it on the head. If we each get one or two more people to think about it, guess what? We're waking up more people. Look at all the things Ired has done since I talked to him one time. You know what I mean? Changed his whole life. One conversation. How did I get there? One conversation from somebody else.
Slope, Mike, because I helped thousands of people get a job. I've helped people change careers.
Yeah, one conversation we did all that.
I don't want to overstate what I've done, but a lot of people.
How do you understate it though?
A lot of people's professional careers, their companies, the people they employ. I've changed a lot of different stars, if you will, based on that conversation that you and I had. I always give you credit for it because it is.
Well, you gotta give yourself credit because you're the guy that was smart enough to call me. Not to sound pretentious, but that was the whole nature of the post was like smart people call me, right? At the time, I was just trying to raise money for an orphanage in Guinea, right? I had no idea when I started doing this, all this stuff I was going to learn about people, networking, why it's important. I mean, I understood networking, I understand personal branding, but I didn't understand the butterfly effect about how much you can really, truly impact people. I mean, I thought I was doing great because I raised, a couple $100,000 for kids in Guinea, right?
And that's great by itself.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I want to get to the point, right? Like if I ever have $1 billion in my bank account, and I don't want to hate on all the billionaires of the world because that's not the popular or right thing to do. But at the same time, if I ever have more than 100 grand just sitting in my bank account, I'm a dick because there's some kid in Guinea that could use the food. You know what I mean? Like I just want to make a good living. That's why I'm here, right? And I wouldn't be who I am if I just did, hey, let's make a post about networking. Let's get people up here to talk about stuff that doesn't really matter.
That's why we don't do all the phony crap that you see a lot of people with our network sizes do. And
I'm not the positive guy. I like Michael Ashburn. I like him a lot, right? But like I put the foot down on him today because today's not the day. You know what I mean? Like today's not the day for grace when it comes to like, hey, we got points to make today, right? Yeah. Like I give everyone here, David, Jason, Ryan.
I can't get over to see the news because I'm concerned if my dad's going to make it through this.
I mean, I bet you there's not a second that goes by you're not waiting for terrible news. I mean, like how are you sitting here? Not like on your phone waiting to hear what's going on with the guy. Like, and people, like, unless it's not happening to them directly, they don't seem to care. And David and Jason here bring up so many great points about like this is having a global impact. What people don't realize is that Ukraine, besides the fact that it's 40 million people or whatever is in the country, they provide a lot of food to other people, and like this is a move, okay, to destabilize America, to destabilize every other country in the world that isn't China or Russia. This is look, I talk a lot about video games. One of my favorite video games to play is Master of Orion. I've been playing it since I was a kid. If you don't understand how everything ties together, go play Master of Orion because the whole idea
I played it back in the day, dude. I love that game.
It's to take over the galaxy. So essentially, we'd all be different races, and we're trying to take over the universe, right? But you have to manage the diplomacy, you have to manage the money, you have to manage the farming, you have to manage the technology. If you don't understand how all this works together and why Russia chose a soft target like Ukraine and why they did it at the time that they did, right? Go play that game. Play it for a day. You'll waste a day. You have a lot of fun. You won't get anything outside that game done because it sucks you right in, right? But you will learn how governments kind of work.
Gentlemen, I apologize. I have to step out. I have a meeting in 3 minutes. I've got to.
I lose a lot of people on Master of Orion talk, David. I understand it.
No, it wasn't that. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share some of my feelings.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you. I hope to chat with you again personally soon.
I'd love that.
We're gonna have to wrap it up too because I got a meeting at the top.
I'm gonna follow all you guys. So look for me to request. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it,
David.
Thank you so much.
Jason, is there anything you'd like to add to this conversation? And we appreciate you.
Yeah. So I've been absorbing a lot of really good thoughts. The the final, I guess my final thought on this whole thing would be is, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and that is, we had a group of 6 guys here, all different walks of life, all different parts of the country, and we all agree on one principle, and that is do what's right.
Yeah.
You know, do the right thing. And I think there's synergy to that, but then we've got to take it upon ourselves to go and share this message with other people and get other people thinking that way and removing all the divisive crap that in the big scheme of things don't matter. And final thought I wanted to make is, this will just kind of drive home that point is, I've watched a number of the news agencies trying to get a flavor from everybody, and everybody that I've seen wants to talk about gas prices and stock market. And, you know, that seems to be our only care in the world, and not the humanitarian side of it, or what for me, it's not just about Ukraine, it's about what it represents, right? Like, yes, I am with the Ukrainian people, but it goes so much deeper than that. And it's just, if we allow this to happen, then there's no stopping where that goes to, right? And everybody just assumes and says, well, Ukraine's not a NATO country, and if he steps foot in a NATO country, then we have to rally to their defense. Well, that's all well and good, but the reality is that he's already got this snowball of effect going. And so, you know, and you have the Chinese and Taiwan, that situation, and they're watching this with a hawk. And it's just, I got to tell you, I lived through the Cold War. You know, me and Al are about the same age. And I don't think we've ever lived in a more dangerous time as a society than we do today, because of this divide that you've talked about that's been going on since they launched the New World Order. You know, you heard about that in the 80s and 90s. Everybody thought it was just a bunch of bluey. Hello, this is what it is. And, you know, these leaders like Putin and Biden, for that matter, you know, doesn't matter whether he's a Democrat or Republican, just the president of the United States, all those elite leaders are part of this pyramid scheme that David was talking about. And so I think that we ought to all say a prayer for the people of Ukraine, you know, definitely say a prayer for Ira's dad. And if we ever want to change our dynamic, we have to get serious about talking about what really matters and leaving all this other divisiveness that was created by the elite to divide us at the doorstep and talk about what really matters.
There's an old Aaron Tippin song from the 90s. It says, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. This is one of those things. Is this something you stand up for? The human rights of people who can't defend themselves, or who are willing to stand up for themselves but need help. Because
we would want the help.
Yeah.
If we were in that position and some jerk was bombing us because they wanted our property, and that's what it is. They want property. They want our power, right? We would want the help. Yeah. How can we expect people to come help us if we're not ready to go help them? And the quicker we start doing that, the better off the world will be.
I believe this, and I think that this hasn't been addressed today, so I just want to bring this up. When much is given to you, much is expected of you. The United States has been given a lot. Like, we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of money. We have a lot of power. We have a lot. And so what do we do with that? Do we say it's not our fight, or do we call a spade and stand up for what's right? Mm-hmm. We could debate the politics all we want, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is a foreign invasion. Over taking away the democratically elected rights of the people and the government that they've put in power democratically. Like, do we agree with that, or do we not? Does that not matter anymore? I don't know.
Well, we have to start tweaking the the conversations away from self-interest, away from the gas prices, and towards the humanitarian side of it, the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness of it. People need health, like they need their, not be killed, not violence, education, food, a shelter. That's what we have to care about. We can disagree about the ways to do that, but we need to make sure that people are able to live their lives. And that should be the conversation rather than just, what can I get out of it?
I think that human beings should have the right to exist without the fear of death. And right now, 40 million people in Ukraine don't have that.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, guys, we could talk about this all day, and I know that we're all be thinking about this all day, and I don't want to be rude to anybody else today, right? But I appreciate you all for coming on. Ira, prayers to your dad and all the Ukrainian people. I mean, we're all hoping the leaders of this world do the right thing, and all we can do is encourage everybody to support them and encourage them to do the right thing.
What can you do? What can you do wherever you are to make a difference today? You know what you can do? Contact your leader.
Well, I mean,
your senator, your governor, your president. Reach out.
Make a post.
Say something.
Make a post. Like literally.
Right?
If everybody on Facebook, if everybody on YouTube, if everybody on LinkedIn got together and made their own voices heard on this particular subject, they couldn't hide behind polls. They couldn't hide behind white noise. Today is not the time or the day to talk about your marketing business or your home life and business or, fluff and stuff. We need everybody in this world to show the leaders of this world that the Ukrainian people matter, that we care enough to at least make a social media post. If you don't care enough,
ostrich with his head in the sand.
We're ignoring it. Everybody's ignoring it. Like, if you're not making a post to say, and we shouldn't stop at a post, okay? We shouldn't. But really, if every post you saw today was about the Ukrainian people, and Mike made a comment about, hey, he didn't see the news or he didn't know what the conversation was about before he joined in, right? Well, like, that's part of the problem. People got to know what's going on. And, people can't be afraid to say, hey, stop what you're talking about. This is the subject today. That's what we need people to do.
Yeah, and that's what I would hope people would do, no matter where this was and what was happening.
It doesn't matter if it's Ukraine, the Pacific, or Asia, or anywhere else.
I have my dad is there, right? So obviously it touches me in a little bit different way, probably than it's going to touch most people, and that's fine. I get that. But the fact is, if my dad wasn't there, I still would be interested in this because it's still oppression. It's wrong on every level, and for someone to try to say that it isn't makes me question their motives as a human being, because they're obviously, they've either been manipulated or they're just, in my opinion, evil. And I'm not afraid to call evil evil. So if you don't like that, then you can unfollow me, and I don't care, because frankly, I don't need evil in my life at all. I don't want it.
I don't need any more evil, any more toxicity. Look, if we're not good enough friends to where I can just, say it how it is, or tell you when you're out of line, or you can tell me when I'm out of line, because God knows I'm out of line a lot. We're not going to be that good of friends. You know what I mean?
We're not perfect. Look, all of us, we all fall short of the glory of God, right? None of us are perfect.
Every one of us, whether you're religious or not. Yeah.
So the bottom line here is, everybody makes mistakes. Can you accept that criticism or critique from somebody, and then do you try to improve yourself and be better? And that's what people should do, in my opinion. Again, that's a little bit more debatable maybe, but at the end of the day, evil is evil, and I am never going to sit on the
right
side.
Is right and wrong is wrong, no matter how many people are voting for what side.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit and be quiet over this. So.
I can't. I would not be who I am if I can't. Nobody should follow me for the most part anyway, right? But you definitely shouldn't follow me if I'm coming up here and talking about SEO today. Like, who cares about SEO today? Like, I don't care about search engines.
We didn't even introduce ourselves today, guys.
We talked a little bit about what we're doing, but not much.
We got right into it.
Yeah, sorry if Mike's. Look, when you guys tune into this networking show, am I not usually a clown? Am I not usually laughing and chuckling the whole time? Nobody's seen like what most people don't see is this side of me very often. I don't like this side because this is ass kicking mode. You know what I mean? This is like, hey, no, this has to stop mode. I prefer to be the chuckling guy. I prefer to have happy thoughts and have my head in the sand. I prefer not to think about
we had this whole plan. We were going to talk about Instagram today, and I was going to tell you all how to build your Instagram following. But we didn't talk about that. Why? Because this was more important.
I mean, your dad and 40 other million people might be getting bombed today. You know what I mean? Like, don't have time for anything else. You know, sorry. You know, and people can't understand that. Well, you know, I don't know what to tell them. You know,
yeah. We didn't ask for show sponsors today. We didn't. Yeah, I mean,
I felt bad even putting the little ticker down on the bottom.
Come back on Monday, and hopefully, you know.
Yeah, you know, we're going to be talking about what we need to talk about whenever we need to talk.
I hope this is over by Monday. I don't think
it's. But unfortunately, it's not going to be. I'm going to be. This is the first pond moving, right? Like
I already told you guys 2 days ago, this is the start potentially of World War III, and I think a lot of people thought again I was being clickbaitish, but I was dead serious. I wasn't.
No, do you think? Oh, first of all, people can talk about me and Ira all they want, right? But I really don't do anything just for clicks. Like if I did things just for clicks, okay, I would highlight 50 SPN members a day. I would do 12 posts a day about people I don't even know, just to be like, hey, come look at my website, right? But like I try to vet people. Why? Because I think that giving people accurate information and how you really feel is more important than getting users on my own damn website. So sometimes as a marketing or a business person, I'm my own worst enemy.
There is a clique that Mike and I could have joined and been a part of. And
I started that clique. And then I realized there were a bunch of assholes. And I told them so. You people think that I just bounce out of chats random willy-nilly and it's the first time I've done it. No. I always exit stage left when I realize the party sucks.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm just saying if we were in it just for that, trust me, and when I tell you we would both have 7-figure followings, if not 8.
Oh, we'd be look. I don't know how to say this without sounding, you know, like I'm pontificating or being, you know, pretentious or, you know, stroking my own ego, right? But if I could just shut up and go along with the greed, I'd have 7 million followers right now. That's not what I want. You know what I mean? I don't want 7 million followers that don't really care about me. I don't want 7 million sycophants. I'd rather have one Red or one Jason or one Ryan in my pocket, right? I'd rather have like people that
have a big pocket.
A big pocket with food in it. But you know, like here's the thing: if you got 7 million followers, what do those followers really do for you? Like, would they help you get a glass of water if you're starving in the desert? A couple of years ago, I may have a small following, but I got a flat tire in Florida. I made a post about it on Twitter, which is like my smallest network, and at the time, I had like 50 people follow me on Twitter. Right, within 20 minutes, I had 4 or 5 different people sending their cousins out to help me get my car back on the road. So why? Oh, because I have the right followers, you know, the right tribe.
Well, and I'm gonna flip that on its ear too, because I contend a lot of those 7 million followers would actually do stuff for you. But the bottom line is, what was that one person do for those 7 million followers? That's where I think they would do nothing, absolutely nothing.
No, they don't care.
I can't tell you what I do for my followers. You know, when I meet with people that I know on LinkedIn, most of the time I treat them to whatever it is we're doing, and I don't tell them I'm gonna do it. I did it the other day in San Diego. It was a table of 12 people. I picked up a check. I do stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to know someone, look at their heart. And don't look at just what they say. Look at what they do. Look at their actions. That's why I like David Rogers so much, because David's been around me long enough. He knows.
He's a very smart guy. You can tell that right away.
Yeah. Check him out on social media.
I want to learn more about that.
It's about as straight a shooter as it comes.
Jason, we do have to wrap this up, but you're somebody else I want to get back on this show or another show here soon.
Jason is a stud, bro.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit because your comments. We didn't get enough time to chime in here today. We're a bunch of bulls, you know, fighting at the food dish here, but you know we gotta get you to the point where we can have a little conversation.
Director of ops for a gas station chain.
You what?
He's a director of operations, a VP. Actually, I think is his official title. But
so one more guy smarter than me. Great. Never mind, David. Or Jason. I won't talk.
This dude sent me the pretzel Reese's pizzas when they came out. Not Reese's pizzas, but the Buttercups when they came out. King size, like 6 of them. And my wife and my kids go, "Oh, cool, we all get one." I said, Get your hands off my candy. Jason didn't say share. He sent them to me. But I did let my wife have one because happy.
Well, maybe I should start.
Yeah,
having
I got to
cookies
try them before they were launched nationally. Actually.
Well, thanks for helping me out here, Jason. Appreciate it.
I didn't know you at the time, so maybe if you're,
you know, I'm just mad at Ira because he didn't send me nothing.
Well, that was at one of those times that we were not.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We learned a lot over the years in regards to.
No, that's your point earlier about brothers, Dwayne, brother. I mean, we
learned a lot, man. Grace and everything else. The coolest thing I ever got wasn't chocolate. Somebody sent me ostrich eggs and a bunch of meats from around the world. I ate King Cobra jerky. It was awesome. You know, like somebody sent me 20 pounds of different meats, from alligators to ostrich to everything else. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
All right, we gotta wrap this up because I'm 12
guys,
minutes.
Sorry, Ira, go ahead.
I'm 12 minutes late to an appointment. Sorry. Here to go.
Bye, guys. I hope you all have a good one. You know, good luck to Ukraine. We're with you, people.